Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Thank you so much for coming in to watch this video. And in this video, we're going to talk about a couple of things. We got core scientific news, we got marathon news, we got Iris Energy news, and then we got DMG providing their fiscal year end 2023 numbers. We'll look at the fourth quarter results for that. And then we'll take a look at also the miners based on their market caps versus hash rate, minus HODL, and all that good stuff there. So we'll kind of see which ones are kind of looking right now. Okay, but as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice, for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm investing in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Definitely helps me out tremendously, and I appreciate it greatly. So let's take a look at the market here really quick, what's going on that, and then we'll get into the news stories that we do have. So right now, BTC is doing pretty good. It's still in the green right now. It's up 0.19% on the day, which is the new day. So that's the next 24 hours. Today it was up a little bit. It was up 0.46%. It closed at 43,875. The miners, however, had a fantastic day, even though Bitcoin was kind of flat. So it's kind of nice to see that happening here. Annie was maybe, I think, the only exception here that was actually down a day. Annie was down 0.39% on the day. Argo was up almost 20% here, which was huge. Bit Digital was up 4.5. BitDeer was up 3.3. Bitfarms was up 6.2. Cypher was up 5.7. CleanSpark was up 9.9. Cores was up 15% again. It's above $1 now, which is fantastic for all you guys that are still holding on to those shares there. DigiHost was up 1.24%. DMG was up 2.1%. Greenwich was up 5.7%. Hive was up nicely today, 17.7%. Hut 8 up 7.7%. Iris Energy had a huge day today. I mean, look at that candle there. Man, that thing went rocking hard. And that's based on the news that came out. We'll talk about that. But they were up 38.8% on the day. They were one of the ones that I said in yesterday's video that was one of the ones that was the most undervalued potentially. And now it's actually getting the respect that it needs. I still think it's undervalued from where it is right now. It probably should be 2 times where it is right now to be fairly valued. Marathon, obviously another nice day today, up 12.13%. It's now at the high up here. Let's see if you can see the high on it. It's not going to show me. Now let's go this way. There we go. The high was $25.10. So definitely a good day for Marathon. Lawson was up 7.0%. Riot 1.8%. Soluna 3.9%. Stronghold up also nicely today, 10.5%, even though there's really no news for them. And then Wolf was up 6.67%, same thing here. So a great day for the miners overall. We're seeing a lot of appreciation in the values of each of those, which is nice to see here. Okay, and especially as we get closer to the spot Bitcoin ETF approval, possibly sometime around January, like the beginning of January. I think things will continue going forward, but we'll see. Okay, so that's it for that. Like I said, great day for the miners. Let's take a look at the news stories that we do have here. First one's going to be on Core Scientific. So they announced agreement in principle on terms of Chapter 11 global plan settlement with all key stakeholders, an extension of equity rights offering subscription deadline. So they are moving the deadline a little bit here, and we'll get into it right here. So of course, Scientific is adjourning the combined hearing to consider both A, final approval of the disclosure statement, and B, confirmation of the plan for December 22nd to January 10th, the combined hearings. Core Scientific also intends to file a motion requesting that the court modify certain dates and deadlines with respect to the plan, including an extension of the deadlines to vote on the plan or file an objection to the plan. So that's kind of what we're getting here. So they are definitely getting close to it. And here's the timelines that they're looking at right now. Excuse me. So the anticipated plan effective date is to be determined, but they're expecting it sometime in mid-January right now. You can see that here. And then NASDAQ listing expected at or shortly after emergence. So that'll be good news, obviously, for the shareholders there. And we'll see how they do going forward. So this is obviously good news here for Core Scientific holders. And we'll see, right? We'll see how they do get out of it and how they go forward from here. Next is going to be Marathon here. Marathon's going to be a quick one. Marathon Digital Marathon Digital Holdings adds Anchorage Digital Bank as a Bitcoin custodian. So this is their third custodian here that they're adding to basically spread out their Bitcoin holdings into 3 custodians instead of having it in one. So this is good news because if something happens to one, you're kind of SOL at that point, right? You get your funds pretty much locked up, or worst case, you lose them all. So this is actually really good that they're diversifying that way. And they said that they might actually diversify even more into another custodian as well. So this is good news. Smart moving on their part, I believe. Okay. Next is going to be here on Iris Energy. So Iris Energy provided that the 10 exahash equity raising program is complete. And we saw the stock actually rocket today, up 30-some%. Excuse me. Up 38%. So it was obviously a good move by them, letting investors know that they are done so far fundraising or equity raising, which then tells them that possibly the dilution is going to be over with for at least the time being. But they do want to grow beyond that, so we'll still have a little bit of dilution going forward. But we'll see when that happens. But here's what we do have from them. So key highlights: 10 exahash expansion now fully funded following completion of targeted equity raising program. So that's great news there. Expansion ahead of schedule. Commissioning and energization activities for DC2 are underway. And then the NVIDIA H100 GPUs targeting generative AI being commissioned right now. So that's also good news. And then planning underway for additional growth in the second half of 2024. So that would be after the halving event in April sometime. And here's all of their sites here that they have. We can see here that the capacity of each one there. And they're all operating in there, commissioning underway or electrical installation ongoing. Building structure complete, concrete foundation ongoing. So they do have, obviously, more to expand that way. So that's obviously good news. Okay. So that's it for that one. And that's why the stock basically rocketed up today, because shareholders are relieved that there's no more dilution going into 10 exahash. All right. Next is going to be DMG. So DMG Blockchain Solution reports financial results for its fourth quarter and full year ending September 30th. We'll get into my numbers here really quick. There's not much to it here. You guys can obviously read all this if you want. I'm not going to get into it. We'll look at the numbers that we do have for them. And then we'll get into the market cap versus hash rate for each of the miners here. So DMG blockchain right now has 167 million shares outstanding. The stock price as of today was 40 cents. Market cap at 67 million right now. The performance over the last 12 weeks has been pretty good. It's not the best, but it's kind of in the middle there. They're up 48% from 12 weeks ago. From 8 weeks ago, they're up 22%. From 4 weeks ago, they're up 6.3%. And last week, they were up just slightly here, 0.67. They are currently at 1.2 exahash. They will get to about 2 exahash, or having it close to 2.1. We'll see where they get, though. And they do have a little bit of HODL that they last reported, and probably should find that out in the press release as far as what they had at the end of, excuse me. I think that was reported when they reported the September Q4 results. Yeah. So we should be good there. No, this is old. I'll double check this, because I think I did report this when they actually provided the production updates for November. So I think that's kind of where we're at. Going down here, we go over all these metrics on a monthly basis. Looking at the 4 quarters revenue here, we can see that revenue kind of peaked in Q2 of this year. This was right around September. Not September, sorry. January, February, March. So those first quarter for them, really. And then it kind of came down a little bit here in Q4. I'm calculating 4.1 million, excuse me, based on the total revenue for the full year, subtracting the prior 3 quarters to that to get our Q4 numbers for them. And then last 4 quarters, operating cost, depreciation has been coming down, so that's good news there. So they're being pretty efficient here going into the halving event, which is nice to see. Now, looking at their cost to mine 1 BTC minus depreciation, that has been going up, which is kind of normal because we're seeing that kind of across the board for all the miners, really. When we look at the information here from everybody else, right? As the network hash rate increases, their cost to mine Bitcoin increases as well. So we're seeing that across. Bitcoin mined quarterly has been coming down. Not a good sign, really. They're not really growing with the network hash rate, or at least keeping up with it. And that's the result of that. You're going to see production go down, but the good thing is the BTC price has been going up, so that's kind of offsetting those things. Okay, next, debt to equity, lower is better. They're at 0.07, so that's really good. Current ratio, higher is obviously better. They're at 4.57 right now, which is also really good. So total current assets of 19 million. Their total current liabilities is about 4 million. Not a big deal there, and they're doing really good. Healthy balance sheet going into the halving event, which is nice to see. All right, going down here, we'll get into some of these metrics here towards the end, but here's what we have. So looking at Q4 against Q3, we'll go through this really quick. Total current assets actually decreased a little bit here to 25.4 million. This is in Canadian, from 27.3. Total assets also decreased by almost 9 million here to 82 million Canadian from 91 million. And going down here, total current liabilities, that has actually increased to 5.5 million from 4.8. The big increase here was possibly, where was it? Right here. Current portion of loans payable went up to 1.2 from the 319,000 they had there. Q3 total liabilities actually went down here to 5.6 from 5.8. So that's good there. Going down here, stockholder equity came in at 82 million, which is lower than the 91 million they had prior quarter. And then revenue here. So revenue came in at Canadian 5.6 million compared to 7.4 million, and I think that was mainly because of the network hash rate going up quite a bit there. And Bitcoin at that time in that time frame, at least. In the Q3 numbers, or for us it was Q3, but for them it was Q4, was kind of depressed a little bit, going sideways, going down a little bit, so that's possibly why. But they definitely should have a better quarter going into the new year here, which is going to be Q1 for them, but which is Q4 for us. Okay, so total, let's see here, for self-mining, we got them at 5.4, 7.4 prior to that. Let's see what else we have here. Mining equipment, hosting and setup was up to 671,000 from 281, so that was good there. Net pool revenue actually went up a little bit here to 1,825 from a loss of 294. Hosting also was, I don't know if hosting was over here. You can see 464 here and 464 negative here. I think that was maybe included into mining equipment here because we didn't have that recorded here. So that might have been changed the way that they structure the reports here. Okay, that's why we have a negative here on that one. Mining pool fees. Let's see here. What else do we have here? So self-mining USD, covered that. Let's see. Operating and maintenance costs. That actually went down to 3.6 million from 4.1. So that's good there. General administration went up a little bit here to 1.1 million from 875,000. They probably put in some share-based compensation there as well, probably. Or maybe no, it's separate from here. So maybe bonuses. But stock-based compensation went down to 321,000 from 544. And then what else do I feel that's interesting? Depreciation went down to 4.6 from 5.3. So total expenses actually were down to 10.5 million from 11.3. So that's good there. Okay. Gross profit margin about 14.4% here in the quarter compared to 28.65 if we don't include depreciation in that as well. For the year, they're at 19.67, so that's not bad. Let's see here. What else do I feel that's kind of interesting that maybe popped out a little bit? I think everything else is pretty much foreign exchange gain loss. That was a little bit higher, but that was only in thousands, so that's not a big deal. Let's see here. What else? Unrealized revaluation loss in digital currency. That was up quite a bit here, 5.7 million compared to a zero prior quarters. Then we had a negative on the first quarter here for them. And net income loss came in at negative 1.3 million compared to negative 4.2 million. So that was an improvement, so that's good there. They are going in the right direction, looks like. Total comprehensive income, excuse me, was negative 10 million. That's based on the unrealized revaluation gain on digital currency, which was 8.9 million here. They took a loss, it looks like, on that compared to 2.69 million in the positive on Q3 for them. So that's kind of how things stacked up. They said they had a loss of 10 cents per share for the year. And based on that, I'm guessing that they had about might be a little bit less than, well, let's see. What do we get here if we do the sell and we put in 2? Okay, so they had a loss about 1 penny here, it looks like maybe, for the quarter. Okay. Shares outstanding right now, 167.7 million, which is what we're using on top here. And then looking at some of the metrics for this, some calculations. Their cost to mine BTC, we kind of covered that a little bit. That's up to 18.9 thousand from the 15.8. Here, you can see that as well. And then there for the year was about 14.5, which isn't bad at all. Debt to equity, we covered that. Book to value equity is now at 57.9 million. So that's down from the 64 that we had. And then price to book ratio is up to 1.15 from the 1.04. So that's good. Enterprise value is at 61.5 compared to 61.3. So that's down a little bit. And then EBITDA came in at 1.1 million compared to 788,000. So that was good there. And then let's see here, revenue and general administration. It's only at 25% right now for Q4 for them. Prior was 18.9. Definitely want to see that below 20% going forward. But other than that, I think it was a pretty good quarter for them given where the market was with Bitcoin and everything else. So no complaints really there on this part of things. The only thing is they got to grow, right? They are growing because they are getting more miners and things like that. But currently, I have them between 33 cents and 49 cents, and they are going to be growing a little bit, so we could possibly bump up their PE a little bit here to maybe 7 or 8 or something like that, which would say that they are undervalued, but currently they're pretty fairly valued, I think, based on where they are. So, yeah, I think they have, what, 66 million? Let me take a look here, sorry. Total assets of 82 million, $62 million, and they're valued at, right now, 67. So they're at least valued for what they actually have, plus a little bit more than that. So like I said, I think they're pretty fairly valued right now. All right, so that's it for that one. Let me know what you guys think of them. Obviously, there's one of the smaller miners, and The tough spot the smaller miners are going to be in it at is if they're not growing, they're going to be going away slowly but surely, unless they actually grow. Okay, let's take a look at some of the market cap to hash rate metrics here that we track on this monthly. I haven't done this yet this month, so I updated these today. And we'll just kind of take a look at it. And the way we were looking at this is we're taking the market cap and dividing by the current hash rate. And then we're going to take market cap minus HODL to take out the HODL value that they have in there and divide it by the hash rate and see what numbers we get there. And this kind of shows us if they're potentially undervalued or overvalued on some of these metrics here. Then we give them a score. If they're undervalued, we give them a -1. If they're fairly valued, which the lines here would have to be pretty much, I don't see anybody here that's really fairly valued, but you want basically the maroon line and the blue line to be pretty close to each other. That would give us that they're pretty fairly valued at that point. And if they're overvalued, we give them a 1. Then we score them all, and we'll look at it down below. So we'll just go through this relatively quickly here. We can see that Core has 15.2 exahash right now. They're getting basically 27,900, 27,000 per petahash basically on this, because that's the way it's going, because I have these in petahash. Stronghold is at 4 exahash. They're getting a value of 13.3 thousand per petahash. Marathon is pretty closely valued here. They're not quite there yet, but they're definitely getting pretty close. They have 23 exahash right now. They're being valued at about 236,000 per petahash, which is a nice price there for them. So they're pretty fairly valued there. CleanSpark is at 10 exahash right now. They're getting valued at 211,000 per petahash right now. So they're definitely overvalued on this part right now. Okay, Iris Energy is at 5.7 exahash. They're valued at 89,000 per petahash. Definitely overvalued on this part. TeraWolf is at 5 exahash. They're valued at 99,000 here. So obviously overvalued there. And I'm not going to go through all of the numbers here, but I'll just point this out. So Hive is overvalued. Cypher is overvalued based on the numbers. Riot, definitely overvalued here. BitDeer overvalued as well. Bitfarms as well. Sphere, kind of half and half here, but definitely overvalued here. Argo, same thing. DigiHost, same thing. BitDigital, overvalued. DMG, overvalued. And then Hut8, definitely overvalued right now as it is. Okay. Going down here, looking at the market cap minus the HODL position. So whatever their HODL value is, we're taking that away from the market cap, dividing it by the hash rate that they have right now, and then getting them basically a rating here. So we can see that Core is undervalued here as well. Stronghold is undervalued. Marathon now is undervalued because they have a huge HODL position. So you take that out and you divide it by the hash rate, and you can see that their hash rate is actually above that number there. So that's good. CleanSpark still overvalued there, along with everybody else here for the most part. Yeah, I think everybody's overvalued. Yep. Iris, TeraWolf, Hive, Cypher, Riot, BitDeer, Bitfarm, Sphere, Argo, DigiHost, BitDigital, DMG, and Hut8. Definitely all overvalued here. And you can see some of them more so than others. And that's the reason, because we've had a really good run up here recently in a lot of the miners where they're up 300, 400%, 500% on the year already. So that's going to obviously have an impact on it going forward. Next, we take a look at market cap by the future hash rate. So what is their future hash rate going to be? We look to see if they're currently still valued properly on that or undervalued potentially. And we can see here that Core is still undervalued based on that for what they're getting right now. But we know that Core and Stronghold, Core is obviously in Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They're getting out of it possibly in January. Stronghold has other issues like debt and too much overhead costs. That's the reason why they're down there. So there's potential reasons why some of the miners are undervalued, and those are some of those right there. Marathon is overvalued right now based on the future hash rate growth for them, which brought them down to 181,000 per petahash compared to the 236, right? So that's kind of how that shapes up. Looking at CleanSpark, they're kind of fairly valued here, looks like, right now based on the future hash rate. Iris, pretty close to that as well, being close. You can see a little bit of a blue there. So they are a little bit overvalued potentially. TeraWolf, undervalued. Hive, undervalued. Cypher, undervalued, sorry. So Hive, overvalued. TeraWolf, overvalued. Iris, slightly overvalued. Cypher, undervalued along with Riot, because Riot's going to be getting to 38 exahash potentially within the next 2 years or so. So they would be currently undervalued based on that. They're getting only 89,000 per petahash for future hash rate. BitDeer would be overvalued along with Bitfarm, Sphere, Argo, DigiHost, BitDigital, DMG, and Hut8 right now. And then we look at market cap divided by the BTC mine generated. So we're looking at BTC production here for them. So the white numbers here are what they mined in November. dividing it by their market cap currently. We can see here that Core is undervalued, Stronghold is undervalued, Marathon is definitely undervalued, CleanSpark is undervalued right now, along with Iris, TeraWolf, Hive, Cypher. Riot would be overvalued. BitDeer would be almost fairly valued to slightly undervalued. Bitfarms is overvalued, Sphere overvalued, Argo overvalued, DigiHost over, BitDigital over, DMG over as well as Hut 8 right now. And then when we take a look at market cap minus HODL and the BTC, we can see it here, a little bit difference here. So we're taking the HODL position, value of that, getting rid of that out of there. And we can see definitely Core is undervalued here, Stronghold as well, Marathon, CleanSpark, Iris, TeraWolf, Hive, and then we got Cypher overvalued along with Riot, BitDeer, Bitfarms, Sphere 3D, Argo, DigiHost, BitDigital, DMG, and Hut at that point will be pretty close to being fairly valued if you take out the HODL position on this. So it's just kind of interesting to take a look at some of these metrics here. So this is just one of the metrics that we look at. It's not the end-all be-all of everything. We look at other metrics as well, and we kind of see where things are stacking up on for all the miners here. So there's a lot of things that we look at throughout the course of the month and the quarter to see where everybody stacks up. And you can see these are all the numbers here that got inputted, and then here's how things stack up as far as undervalued or overvalued based on these numbers. So we can see here that Core and Stronghold came in as the most undervalued, but there's reasons for it. Core being in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, Stronghold having a pretty bad balance sheet and high overhead costs, which are having an impact on them. Marathon, just slightly undervalued right now, right? -1 points for that. CleanSpark, Iris Energy look like they're pretty well valued right now on the even. They got a 0 basically. TeraWolf and Hive, Cypher potentially being a little bit overvalued, along with Riot, BitDeer, and then Bitfarms, Sphere 3D, Argo, DigiHost, BitDigital, DMG, and Hut 8 being on the higher side of being overvalued based on the petahash itself and the BTC HODL. Okay, or not BTC HODL, sorry, BTC production values. So something to take a look at, something to keep in mind how things look here. And if we look at the numbers here, just by the numbers themselves, you can see here that market cap divided by hash rate, we can see here that who's getting the most? Riot is getting the most, it looks like, 238,000 per petahash. That's huge. Followed by Marathon, 236, and you got CleanSpark, 211, and then anybody else at 200? No, and everybody else below that. We could probably even do this sort of descending. So you guys can see here how that stacks up. Followed by Cypher, Hut 8. So those are the ones that are getting the most right now for their hash rate. If you take out the, let's see here, do I have it in here? Market cap, future hash rate. So, okay, so this is what they're getting paid basically for the future hash rate. And let's take a look at that one. So sort descending on that one. You can see that Marathon is getting the most for, followed by Hut 8, BitDigital, BitDeer, and CleanSpark are getting the most value for that. And the ones down on the bottom here are getting the least amount for their future hash rate growth. Let's see here if we have it minus market cap minus HODL. So this is if we take out the HODL position, HODL value. If we look at that, sort that descending, we can see here that then Riot comes in at number 1 for the most value that they're getting for it. So overvalued, right? Marathon, CleanSpark, Cypher, Bitfarms, BitDeer, BitDigital, Hut 8. Those are all definitely on the top part of things, but those are also like the top miners there as well. So interesting to look at all this stuff here and kind of make some assessments, some judgments, and include it with everything else that we talk about. And that gives us a pretty good picture of how the miners stack up and overall on a lot of these metrics here. So I think that's it. We'll leave it at that for this one. Tomorrow we'll probably look at BTC hash rate comparison, which we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin network hash rate, comparing it to the miners as far as how much they grew over the past month, which would be November, compared to the network itself. And then also how did their percentage of the network, or this, I guess you could say the share of the network that they have, how did that go? Did they increase or decrease? So we'll look at that tomorrow. All right, but that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, send me down in the comments down below. Also, as always, spreadsheets can be available to my Patreon members. It's $5 a month, better than price of coffee. And you also get the private Discord channel that we're a part of there. And what else do we have there? We have a lot of fun there. So you can join there. The link is down in the description. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Thursday. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. And thank you so much for coming in to watch this. I hope you guys have a great night.